Today we have a very nice person, Linda Bullock. Our Linda Bullock holds a Bachelor of Music Education degree from the University of Massachusetts and the Master of Business Administration degree from Anna Maria College. She has been a music educator for more than 40 years and has taught all ages. Linda, her husband Ben, and their three sons, Jeremy, Dan, Daniel, and Deacon Adam, whom I know all of them, may God bless them, are all part of the music ministry of the Armenian church. She is a church choir director and youth choir director, and she has developed numerous servants of the church. Linda has also directed many youth and adult instrumental ensembles. Her passion is teaching youth the beautiful music of the Armenian church, its meaning, and how it relates to the Holy Baldarak. I welcome you, dear Linda. Please.
Thank you, Isaac. Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay, I think I'm standing where I should be. I was told to stand here. Appreciate Mami Gun's introduction. And first of all, he just told you a little bit about my family, about my education. Let's see, what else do you need to know? You know that I'm a choir director, youth choir director. You know all of that. But I'm here to talk about developing the youth because it's essential. Developing our youth is essential to the health of the Armenian church, to keeping our church strong. We really need to focus on the youth. We need to focus on everybody, but we do need to focus on developing the youth. Now, let me tell you a little bit about my background in the church. I became a full-time choir member at age 13. And I was a choir member all those years until I had children. And then I was downstairs with my children in the Sunday school, and I taught Sunday school. And so I've been away from the choir for a while. And one day I was asked to meet with our dead hide, and he told me, not asked me, that I was going to be the choir director. And I was very much opposed to it, and there was one reason. They were all old. most of the choir members were in their 80s. I kid you not. We had a big choir. Most of them were in their 80s. There were a couple in their 90s, and a few that were younger. Okay, but there was no youth, and there were no prospects at all. There were absolutely no prospects. We had the choir up in the choir loft, and everybody else was separate. And we, the kids were down in Sunday school, and they, through nobody's fault really, I guess, they hadn't been taught anything about Baldarak. They taught what was in the books, and I know that's all important, okay? But they hadn't been taught about Baldarak. They hadn't been exposed to the music, and the only time they were in church was for communion every 4 or 5 weeks, okay? So I really didn't want to be the choir director, because I knew in just a few years we weren't going to have much of a choir because they were all so old, And I didn't have a choice. I wasn't given a choice. I was told I was going to be the choir director. And you do what your dad tells you, so that's what I did, okay? So very reluctantly, I went up. The youngest person in the choir was my husband. My Swedish husband was the youngest one in our choir. And, but what I did was, when I took over, I took a poll. We had a choir rehearsal. I took a poll and I said, each of you, tell me how old you were when you became a choir member, a full-time choir member. Even though they were all old now, every single one of them became a choir director when they were a teenager. Every single one of them. So if you wait and try to get them after that, it's not easy. The only one that was not a teenager was my husband. My husband, when we were dating 37 years ago, came to church with me. He was Swedish. He came from a Baptist church, knew nothing about the Armenian church, knew nothing about the language. The day he walked in that door, they put a shabik on him. And they put him He's been there 37 years. Even for 15 years, I wasn't there. He stayed. He's been there. So my point is, I knew something had to be done. He was the only one that hadn't gone in as a teenager. And if you try to start as a teenager, yeah, you could have some success, but even then it's difficult to start teenagers, get them interested. So you kind of have to expose them younger. And so I knew that if it was going to happen, it was up to me, okay? I do know that they had hired somebody. Nothing against her. She was a lovely lady, and I can talk about this because she's far away now. She's no longer anywhere in the area. But they hired her to go down to the Sunday school and teach Shimshadagans to the kids. What's very important is that you have the right person. Somebody that's kid-friendly. Okay, you don't need to have a music degree, but you need to be kid-friendly, and you need to know the music, and you need to know something about Badarak. Well, this woman went down and she would yell at the kids. She had no patience for them. And she would give them demerits. And so they'd ask to go to the bathroom and they wouldn't come back. So I'm telling you this for a reason. First of all, you need to have the right person, okay? And that had happened, and that was very brief, and it just didn't work out. So when I said, okay, I'm going down there, and we extended Sunday school to make time for this. So I had a half hour at the end of Sunday school to work with the kids. I walked downstairs. I don't know any of these kids now, because the kids I had taught were already older, okay? And they gave me kindergarten through grade 6, and their reasoning is, older kids don't like to sing. That's what I was told. I wasn't going to argue with them. I would have liked to have had all of them. So I took kindergarten through grade 6. I said, perfect, we'll start here. We'll develop them. They'll get older, And so as I'm walking in, I don't know any of these kids at all. They don't know me. And the Sunday school superintendent came over to me and said, Linda, you have your work cut out for you. These kids don't want to sing. They had a bad experience, and now they didn't want to sing, okay? So I'm thinking, what am I going to do? Okay, I'll give you my story first, then I'll give you a lot more. But, so what am I going to do? So I went in there, and I'm looking, and these kids are looking at me like they're scared. And I'm thinking, am I that scary? I feel like, and they're looking at me, and they're scared, and they're uptight. And I knew that, I remembered that they had a bad experience. So I said, okay, we're not going to start. First of all, I'm not going to start with any Badarak music because these kids don't know the language. I learned that most of them were less than half Armenian. Actually, a good chunk of them were a quarter or less. Okay? And they don't know anything about the Armenian language. We have za, tsa, ra, kha, all of these sounds that they're not comfortable with or familiar with. These kids are hardly ever in church. They're in church around communion, okay? So they're not exposed. They haven't heard the music that much. They don't know anything. And if I try to throw this at them, full speed ahead, it's not going to work. So my first thing is I got to get them wanting to sing. I don't care what, but they've got to want to sing. I'm not even going to tell you the first song I got them to sing because you'll think I'm crazy.
No, tell us. We'd like to know because you have to do an icebreaker. Arnie?
No, close. Ready? If there is an Armenian connection, Baby Beluga. Baby Beluga. Because Baby Beluga is a singer-songwriter, Rafi.
Yeah.
It was one of his creations. Baby Beluga in the deep blue sea. The kids are floored. You're going to let us sing Baby Beluga? They all sang. They all got excited. Okay? I said, okay, good. Now they're happy. They're smiling. They want to sing. Okay. And actually, by the way, that wasn't the first week. The first week I went down and I sized up the situation just for a few minutes. That's when I knew I had to do something like that. So the next week I came back with Baby Beluga, and then I came back with Our God is an Awesome God, okay? Then I knows what I'm talking about because I did it with his kids at Vacation Bible School. Yeah, you were there. Okay, so this was, by the way, in Worcester, just so you know which parish, okay? So, and Carly was little at the time, right? Carly was part of this, and where's Carlos? Oh, there he is. Oh, Carlos, okay. So, our God is an awesome God, he reigns from heaven above with wisdom, power, and love. God is an awesome God. It's repetitive. you know? But the kids had this feel-good feeling. By the time they were done, they're all like this, they're all having such a great time. Okay, great, now I have a reward song. That's their reward song. They do a good job, they get to sing Awesome God, okay? So that's when I thought about it, and everybody likes to teach Surpas Vads first, which would have been great. The only problem with Surpas Vads is it's early in the Badrak and none of them are anywhere around.
Armenian, is that the one, the last one?
That's the last one. Actually, that wasn't the first I did, but that was in the first bunch. Let me tell you what I did. I thought about it and I said, what do they hear? They're not in church often. What do they hear when they're in church?
If they come up for confession and communion,
Those are the songs they hear. Now, I thought of right before communion, Ordniel Asfaz. What's wrong with that?
It's too long.
Way too long, the longest song, right? And it requires a range that these kids didn't have. Okay? What's right after communion? Asfaz Med, one line, right? These kids, let's say, they don't know Armenian. They don't know how to sing in Armenian, and they certainly don't know Badrak music. So, you know what do? I thought about it and I'm saying, Asfaz Med, let's get them singing. Now, I've got them wanting to sing now, okay? So what I did was, a lot of people give them, I hate to say this, and I don't mean to be negative, but they give them something like this, okay? Kids, most of these kids don't read music, especially the young ones. They don't read music. You give them this and they don't even know what they're looking at, okay? So what I did was I typed up just this on the page, and nothing else, just this. So it looks easy. It looks easy when this is all you do. I hyphenated between the syllables. So if there's hyphens, you know it's all part of the same word, okay? Yeah, otherwise there's spaces between the words, okay? So I don't know how many of these I've given out to different churches now, but the thing is, this is what I started them with. And then, they repeated after me. I said, Astvadzmer, so they know what it sounds like. Astvadzmer.
Asfadzmer.
Yevdermer.
Yevdermer.
Yerevetzavmez.
Yerevetzavmez.
Ortnyal.
Ornyal.
Yegyal.
Yegyal.
Anvam.
Anvam.
Dyan.
Dyan.
Okay, that was easy enough. The kids could follow that, okay? So now I had a recording. I had one of our choir members singing and organist Dan here playing. And so they heard it. They sang it. They sang it again. They sang it again. Guess what? They're so excited. They know a church song. They know a church song. They're excited. Okay, so now, do you think you can, how many people think they can memorize it? She was probably one of them. Okay, so now put your papers down. Let's see, this was after doing it several times, okay? And this is over the course of a couple of weeks, all right? And so now they're excited. They have a church song memorized. So now Mr. So-and-so walks in. Oh, kids, let's show Mr. So-and-so what we know. He walks in. Look, you have to hear these kids. You're not going to believe how good they are. And the kids sing it, and they're proud of themselves. And then Mrs. So-and-so comes in and all of this. So the point is, this was our first song. Now the kids want to go up and sing, okay? But I'm not going to take them up just to sing this. So what's the next? What makes sense? What makes sense to sing after Asfaz Med? Letzach. Then Kohanam. So that's what we learn. Once they know one, the next one's not so hard. Okay? Once they know Letzach, Kohanam's not that hard either. Okay? So over the course of several weeks, because these kids really started from scratch, that's what I did. I had them learn 4 songs, and it took, every week for a few weeks. I contacted the Dead Hide and I said, these kids want to come up and sing. So I took, I don't know how many kids, probably 40 kids upstairs. No, maybe 35 kids upstairs. And the choirs, you've seen, the choir's up in the choir loft. All right, choir, move back. These kids are going to join you. And they were delighted. I don't even know if you remember your first time being up there, but these kids were delighted. Now they're part of the service. They always thought church was boring, right. But now they're excited, okay, because now they're part of the service. All right. So this is how we got started in Worcester, and basically, it worked for us. It worked. Okay. And what I would always do was always make sure they had that reward song in English, because the Armenian still was harder for them. Okay. So once they got through that, they got to sing. We developed, we did other Christian songs in English too. So now they had a base of Christian songs too that they also knew. But in time, and this did take time, but over time, their reward songs became other Armenian songs, like I Penkim, okay? I mean, these things that I would have them perform in programs too, so I'm kind of killing two birds at one stone. But now, it's funny, we sang Ambidagits yesterday when we were here. That was one of their reward songs, okay? Because if they got through the Badrak music, can we sing Ambidagits, And so the point is, this happened over time. However, these kids got used to singing together, and they bonded, and they wanted to be in church. So, as I said, I have two of them with me right now, and we'll talk to them a little later because I want you to know their story and so many others. I'm going to show some videos of a few of these kids. But over the past several years, since about 2015, I have spoken with numerous clergy in our diocese. I have been around, I've talked to different groups, okay? I've spoken to numerous clergy, choir directors, choir members, deacons, just to get a feel and see how we can help. I was part of the junior choir committee of the diocese, okay? But even aside from that, I would talk to people every time I had a chance, just to get a feel, how can we help those that need help? And what I found is, some of them are doing some wonderful things. I was so impressed with Dervosky when I went to his parish recently, seeing all the youth serving. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, this is what I don't mean to be negative at all, but different churches, some of them are struggling. And when I talk to people, I find that some of them they say, well, we don't have much youth. And that's, you know what? I understand that. I remember talking to a deacon who's a deadhead now, and he came to me and he says, what do? I only have about 5 kids, and they're young. Okay, well then we'll work with those 5 kids. So I helped them get started, and then I got a message that those little kids were singing Surpas Vads during the fellowship, and I was so happy. So the thing is, you can do something no matter what, no matter how few or how many you have. I asked who are you, Dad Nicholas? You're still Tim, I'm sorry. That's why. It's like, Dad Nicholas, just to stay, I know he has to leave and go into the other, but I asked him to stay a little bit because this summer I did a vacation Bible school with him. Now, he's at St. Mark Armenian Church in Springfield, and I've been there and I have seen that he doesn't have much to work with. I'm not talking about the kids, I'm talking about, he had one young man that just went off to college. Was he a Tibbet?
Yeah, Tibbet.
Yes, he was a Tibbet. Okay, so now he has a 70-something-year-old Tibbet, and he has a 70-something-year-old subdeacon, am I right? And that's it. You have nobody. So he's a new pastor, okay? And he has nobody, and if it's gonna work, it's up to him. I was amazed by his enthusiasm. I was amazed by your optimism. Okay? And so we worked together at a vacation Bible school. Most of his kids are very young. They're very young. He doesn't have older kids, okay, to work with. So he had a couple of, one was 9 and one turned 10 while we were there. And the others are all younger. So what he did was, we started Vacation Bible School with a morning service, and I've done different Vacation Bible Schools at different churches, and I've never seen anyone do this. And I was so impressed. He did a morning service, and he did the evening service at the end of the day, and he had Carlos, who's studying to be a deacon, helping with the deacon parts, which was great for Carlos, and then he had the little kids all doing, the ones that were old enough, helping out. Well, so then he engaged them, you got them excited, and then you took the two oldest ones and asked them if they wanted to learn how to hold candles. So, you know what I mean, use your resource, don't say they're too young, you know, but I learned from watching you, Dedhai, you were just so amazing with them, you really were. And so what happened, and I want to follow up the story, because one of those boys, his grandmother is a friend of mine, and apparently she thought they had Sunday school one week and they didn't, and she took him. And so what does Dedhai say? Now he had already been to Vacation Bible School, he'd already helped out with the parts, he had already held the candle. He said, why don't you put on a shabig and help me? And the boy's response was, what's a shabig? So he showed him what the shabik was, and the boy was so thrilled. According to, I wasn't there.
We even
But
had to pin it up because we didn't have Shavik short enough. He was like 8 years old or whatever, 9
Yeah.
years old. We had to pin it up before Mother
Otherwise it'd be
But you know
Maybe
what?
falling, yeah.
You know, and he made him feel special, and this little boy was beaming, and when he got in the car with his grandmother to go home, she called me to tell me he wants to be a priest. He made such an impression, and he made this, you know, this little boy was so excited to be serving in church that he told his grandmother, I want to be a priest, you know. So the reason I'm telling you that is he doesn't have that many kids, but he's going to develop them. And you know, there's no doubt in my mind. So the point is, most are struggling. What I found out, one reason is some of them just don't have the kids. Okay, so you take what you have, you work with them. You know, if they're too young to sing the shotguns right now, start them singing at least. You know, get them singing, get them in church. Who was it? It was Deacon Rubik. I'm sitting here. He's saying, expose them to the church. Okay. Get them in church. He said, so what? They're playing, so what? They're hearing. And I agree with that 100%. Two examples right here with Carlos and Carly. They would come to church, and when there was no Sunday school, when they were little, and they'd come up to the choir loft, and they were there, and so they were learning. He was a visual learner. I gave him a book. I gave him the Red Badadak book, and page such and such, and he was glued to it. She's an auditory learner, so she was just listening, and she'd stand there. She was little. She'd stand there, and I'd be conducting, and she's trying to follow what I'm doing. She's like imitating me, you know. Now she's studying. Now she's studying conducting in school. Okay, so my point is, you know what? You expose them. You don't say they're too young. You don't say kids don't belong in church. You know, but anyway, so that, you know, the other thing is, some churches I have found, and I have heard from a lot of people, don't have somebody that's able to or willing to do it, and that's the tough part. You got to find the right person, and so that's the difficult part. And so if you don't, please call me and I'll make sure you have somebody. I'll make sure you get the help you need. You know, because there's always somebody that can help. Okay, like right now, Dedhai and I are talking about working something out. I'm the first Sunday of every month, I am doing a music assembly at Holy Translators, and I just got contacted a couple days ago from the Providence Church, so I'm going to be going down there to help them. So I'm always willing to help. It's not just me; there are other people that can help too. Okay, but I've done this, and I know, you know, and I know how to get them started. So most people don't know where to begin. That's the biggest issue. Most people just don't have a clue where to begin. Okay, so here's once again, here's a good place. I told you what we did. This is probably what we'll be doing in Providence, because after talking to the Sunday school superintendent, it sounds like they're much in the same situation that we were in. Okay, so you know, what I want to do right now is just to show you. Are those videos all set?
Probably, yeah.
Okay. What has happened over the, yeah, I know you have to leave, thank you, Dedhai. Over the years, in Worcester, we have developed, just from that group, not every child is gonna stick with it, okay? But if you work with them, a good chunk of them will, all right? And so in Worcester, I started working with these kids in 2007. Some of them have been off to college, all that. I still keep in touch. They still want to serve, so I'm very grateful. But we have a bunch of teenagers right now, ages 13 to 19. We have 15 to 18. 15 to 18, that are prepared to serve. And by the way, you start them singing, that doesn't mean they're going to just be a choir member. Carlos he became a full-time choir member, and now the last 2 years he's been a deacon studies at the seminary. One was virtual, one was in person. He's also studying with Deacon Arthur Sabunjan. He studied with Deacon Alex Kalikian. And he started with my son, Deacon Adam, okay? So my point is, he started by learning the music of the church. He started by being in church and serving in church. He became an acolyte, and now he's studying to be a deacon. Carly, eventually, I do believe that she will be a conductor. But the thing is, she has a lovely voice, and she's a great addition to any choir. She really does. She adds so much. And so, Carly, when somebody asks you, once again, if you're Armenian, what is your answer? By choice. So when I said some of the kids are a quarter or less Armenian, me 0%. Okay, and she knows more than most of the youth that I've come across in her age in the Armenian church. Okay, so none of that makes any difference at all. So anyway, what I did 4 years ago, I was asked to, where was I speaking? It was in Connecticut. It was at Hartford. Prior to your time there, Dad Gomidas was there. And I was asked to speak, and there were 6 churches or so feeding into this. And so somebody said to me, why don't you make some videos of your kids? What?
No, she asked me if I was there, and I said I wasn't there.
You weren't there. No, but we had, like, I remember Rantzag was there, a whole bunch of them, Sevak was there. Yes, Pat, were you there? No, you were there in Boston when I spoke in Boston, yeah. But the point is, somebody said to me, why don't you video some of the kids? You know, and I said, okay, that's a good idea. So whatever kids, now they're not in their Sunday best. The first group of videos is from 4 years ago. These kids were pulled out of swimming lessons, gym class. Some of them don't look at how they look, because I just grabbed them however I could and said, talk about your junior choir experience and whatever. I just kind of left them to decide what to say. Carly and Carlos are in this, and a few other kids. Go ahead, Dan, why don't we show each one? All of these kids, by the way, this was 4 years ago, all of them are servants of the Armenian Church today. Okay, and a lot more, This is Sarah. Sarah is now at WPI. She's a second-year student, engineering student at WPI.
I don't know how long this will be.
Okay.
Hi, my name is Sarah Percival, and I'm 16 years old. I've been a part of the junior choir for a very long time. This year, I'll be graduating from Sunday school, and I'm excited to be a part of a church choir.
Okay, so that's Sarah. And she became a full-time choir member and has been a great addition to the choir. Go ahead, next. Oh, this one was the one that came from swimming lessons, so her hair's like this. She has beautiful, long, flowy hair, and it's up like this. Okay.
Hi, my name is Sophia, and I am 9 years old, and I am in the junior choir. Someday I wish to be a soloist in the church choir.
And Sophia's going strong. Sophia's going strong. She's 13, almost 14 now. She's all grown up. Go ahead, next. Oh my gosh. Olivia. Olivia's the one that came out of gym class. Doesn't she look like? Her grandmother pulled her. I called her grandmother and said, I need to just video her today. And she says, okay, I'll go get her. She pulled her out of gym class and brought her to the house looking like this, but I videoed her. Go ahead.
I'm Morgan Miller. I am age 12, and I have been in the junior choir for about several years now. I have more than half the Butterock memorized. And when I graduate Sunday school, I really want to be a choir member.
12 years old, and she did have more than half the Badarat memorized. Okay, so go ahead, next. Yeah.
Hi, my name is Andrew DeMaro, and I am 16 years old. I have been in our church junior choir for many years, and I am now a part-time choir member. I will graduate from Sunday school this year, and then I plan to become a full-time choir member. At that time, I will start my studies to become a subdeacon. My junior choir experience has inspired me to serve God and my church.
Andrew's a bit of an intellectual. He's graduating from college early. And he is determined to become a deacon. Go ahead. Oh, this one, I'm going to show you. There are a few that I have 2 videos, one from 4 years, only who I could grab this week, because all of a sudden I said, oh, I should come up with some current videos too. So this is Angelina 4 years ago. Go ahead.
Hi, I'm Angelina Wright. I'm 15 years old, and I've been part of the junior choir for many years. I'm actually now an assistant to the director. I'm on my last year of Sunday school, and I'm training to be a full-time choir member. Junior choir has taught me the Badarak well, and I look forward to serving my church as a full-time choir member.
Now, she has really developed. Do you have a new, Billy? Here, I grabbed her. We were at church fellowship, and I pulled her into a room. I said, "You're going to do a video right now." So on the spot, she did this. This was on the spot last week. Go ahead.
Sorry.
And she really has.
Hi, I'm Angelina Wright. I'm 19 years old, and I'm a sophomore at Stonehill College studying criminology. When I was in second grade, I started singing in my church youth choir, and in the choir director taught us not only the music of the service, but what it actually meant, and that was super important to me because now being a full-time choir member for a couple of years, I'm able to pass that on to the youth and teach them the same music that brought me closer to God and the service altogether.
Thank you, Angelina. I'll tell you, these are people you'll see in the future because they're young now, but they're all. Oh, and she mentioned something very important, by the way. What we do, I didn't do this so much the first year, but then I started teaching them what it means, okay? But also we started picking out important words like here it is, Asvad's med. What does Asvad's mean? God. What is med?
Hour.
So what does this mean?
Our God.
God hour. That's what the kids would say, God hour. And they'd say, boy, Armenian's backwards. And I'd say, maybe English is backwards, And then they'd think, But the thing is, that's, what is surp, it's holy. So when they see surp, they know it means the things they hear the most. I would start to, and so they started to understand and piece things together. I started teaching them about Badarak, how it applies to Badarak, what part of Badarak we're doing, and that's why these kids know more than the adults. And by the way, one thing I forgot to mention, we had a lost generation, their parents. Their parents would drop them off at Sunday school and leave. When I went to become choir director, I looked down, there were 0 parents in church, 0. All right, so what I did was I said to the parents, it'd be nice if you could be there for the rehearsal. They were going to pick up the kids anyway. So as they walked in, and I had chairs around to the parents. As they walked in, I would hand them words. Okay, guess what? Parents got connected too. Okay, and then when I started teaching about Badarak, I could hear the parents saying, I didn't know that. I didn't know that. So they've learned. But honestly, the kids that I've taught know more than their parents. They know more about Badarak, not just the music. They know more about Badarak than their parents. They know, and I know I'm being recorded here, but I'm going to be honest, they know more than the adult choir members about the Badarak, for the most part. Okay, there may be exceptions, okay? But for the most part, these kids, because we just kind of incorporated it into their lessons, okay? So that's important. Just getting them singing, yes, they'll enjoy singing, but they need to know, why are we here? All right? And that's why they're going to be leaders, because they know why they're there and what they're singing and the importance of it, okay? So Angelina is a true leader. She's a true leader. Go ahead, next. Oh, this is my favorite. I have Philip 4 years ago and I have Philip now. You ready for a shock? Go ahead.
Hi, my name is Bullock and I am 9 years old. I've been in my church junior choir for the past few years. And whenever I don't have Sunday school, I go upstairs to sing with the church choir. Now I want to be an acolyte and continue singing with the junior choir.
That was 4 years ago. Philip he ended up leaving Sunday school altogether and became our youngest full-time choir member.
You got
Okay?
taller, you got a lot taller.
And he's like this, 4 years later. Watch this.
He's got a mustache.
Can you watch it?
Hi, I am Philip Jubei, and I am 13 years old. When I was in youth choir, our choir director taught us about the Badarak. This got me interested in serving the church, and I became a full-time choir member. I will soon be ordained an acolyte, and I have begun deacon studies.
He already has his ordination date, so, okay. Yay, Philip. And he's another one, right? I mean.
Philip.
Yes, all right, next.
So they let them leave Sunday school to do that, to be in the choir?
No, well, in Worcester, they didn't let them, they just did. And at Holy Translators, we're temporarily, because they're not allowing a choir in Worcester. What?
I intend to stay
You intend to stay there? They love it there. They have a great way of doing things, by the way. What they do is they have family worship until communion.
Yeah.
So you're aware of that. And it's working. So they have family worship together, and then the kids all go sit in the front, and Dad gives them a brief lesson about something related to the Badarak. And then they're the first ones to receive communion. They go downstairs to Sunday school after that. So they're there. So like Carlos is serving on the altar, I should say on the bema, let's be proper, right up till communion. And then he goes downstairs to Sunday school, okay? She serves in the choir till communion. Then she goes downstairs to Sunday school. So they're there for most of it. And
Do
I
they
think
hear the sermon or no?
they don't hear the other sermon. They're given a lesson by the dead. A brief lesson, just enough. It's perfect.
Yeah.
So So the thing is, then they go downstairs and they're learning too. So what I do once a month now, just started last week, is a music assembly. But I don't do these with them. I don't do these with them because this is the music they don't hear. They hear everything else. So what did I start them with? I started them with Hamenaini because it's easy. I started them with Mi Ein Sud, Mi Ein Dead. And that was only the first time. And then I realized that these kids, because they're exposed to it, they're in church, they're picking it up faster. It makes all the difference. These kids recognize the music. It's like, really? Yeah. So now because of that, I'm able to, and the next time, I thought I was gonna spend a few times on this music. I'm going to add to it, okay? And with the older ones, there's a couple that read music. I will give them this if they read music, okay? But most of them don't. So that's what's going on there. Anna's another one that, she's an absolute gem. Shy Anna is becoming a leader.
We love Anna. I am Anna Gulbenkian. I'm 13 years old, and I've been in the junior choir for several years, and it has made me feel more connected with the church.
Show us Anna now.
I have to.
Wait, see her now. She's amazing.
We had a bit of an error with the uploading of her video, her second video. Oh, I think I broke the computer. Oh no, we're good. Okay. So take me a second to open it, but I'll get it. I don't know.
There she is.
That was only a second. All right, we're gonna keep it small.
Hi, my name is Anna Gulbenkian, and I'm 17 years old. So being a part of youth choir actually made me want to be more involved, and therefore 2 years ago now I became a choir member, and now I'm so excited to be back in church and to be serving God in this way.
Yeah, Anna.
Anna's a quiet leader. She really is. She leads by example.
So what
This-
choir are they in?
Well, right now, as I said, most of our choir members are singing at Holy Translators in Framingham. And this is Eva. This is Anna's sister. And Eva, I don't have an old video for, just a current one. All right, go ahead. Oh, I'll explain why. Go ahead. Do it first. Do it first, then I'll
My
explain.
name is Eva Gulbenkian and I'm 14 years old.
Sister?
Over the years, my youth choir director has taught us all about Badarak and its music. Someday, I hope to teach the future kids of our church.
Okay.
Yeah, you.
Anna, I mean Eva. What Eva did one day, I usually have the kids over my house for rehearsal because we don't have anywhere else to rehearse. I mean, I'm talking about what I teach them. Okay. So the thing is, we had a whole bunch of them up one day, not too long ago, and as they were leaving, Eva turned around to me and she said, "You know," she was very pensive. "You're teaching us all this, and someday we'll be teaching other people." 14 years old, and she's telling me this. 14 years old, and I was fighting the tears when she said that. It's like, this is what we want. We want to teach them, and we want them to teach, okay? And just the fact that she just turned around and said it, she could be thinking it, but the fact that she actually said that. So I said, Eva, just, I said, just quickly, what you said to me, just, so that's why she put that on there. Okay, because I didn't have an old one for Eva. Go ahead, what's next?
Look alive.
What? Oh, Carlos.
Me with glasses.
4 years ago, Carlos, go ahead.
Glasses were the only problem.
Carlos, and I'm 12 years old. I have been singing in the junior choir for about 4 years. My voice has changed over the past year and I can't wait to learn the bass parts. Someday when I get older, I hope to be a deacon.
Yeah, and he stayed true to that. These kids, they don't just say it. You know, when kids are little and they want to be an NFL player or a doctor or whatever, but these kids, everything they've said, they knew they wanted because of what was in their heart already at that point. He knew he wanted to be a deacon, and he's been studying to be a deacon, and he will be a deacon. Okay? So, go ahead. Okay. So I didn't bother, I knew they'd be here, so I didn't bother having them do a follow-up one. But basically, I think I already told you, Carlos, is studying to be a deacon. He's been a great role model to the other kids. And he's been a great assistant. Like he helped out, he and his sister Carly helped out with the Nicholas's, vacation Bible school, yes. It was a big help there. Okay, next.
Oh no.
Last.
This is the last
Oh,
one?
when he was
we're gonna hear
Carlos,
I knew you weren't gonna like it.
4 years ago, listen to this
Oh
one.
no.
Hi, my name is Carly and I'm 11 years old. I've been in the junior choir for about 4 years. I love to sing in church and I want to be a choir member. When I get older, I want to learn how to conduct.
Now, remember what I told you? When she was very young, she'd be like following me, trying to and now she's studying conducting. Every single one of these kids that 4 years ago told me what they wanted and told you and everyone else what they wanted are doing what they said they were going to do. And we've got a bunch more that I couldn't record everybody. I just, whoever I could get in one day back 4 years ago, I got. The ones that lived close by. And then whoever I could get this week. Oh, you guys live close.
Me.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Okay, thank you, and thank you very much.
You can put the picture down.
So basically, I think that's about it. My point is, I don't want to reiterate anything. I think you all get what I have to say. I think you all agree with what I have to say. But please know that if you need any help with any of this, there are people that can help. And I'm always there to help. I'm very, very passionate about this. And I'm really excited about a lot of what I'm seeing out there. I was very excited at Dedwoski's church to see all the youth in robes serving, little kids, and I'll tell you, you do that and you're going to keep them. You're going to keep
Like
most
how
of them.
young?
How young? I don't know. They were little. I didn't ask how old they were.
His son is 6.
6, yeah. Some of them were young, like 6. Some of them were probably 10 and anywhere in
The
between.
thing is, when they're young, they're sponges.
That's it. You get them when
That's
they.
the way to learn is when they're young.
Yeah.
That's why you expose them early.
That's right. You expose them early. You keep them involved. Absolutely. What, were you saying something?
When I started in the choir, we weren't allowed to go until we were 15 years old. So it's important.
See,
When I was in Besa, we had a junior choir, a big junior choir.
Yeah.
Right? This was way back before they even thought of, I think, junior choirs. Back in the 80s.
Which century?
See, I don't like that. Personally, you're not allowed to be in the choir till you're 15.
Yeah,
Let's get the kids involved. You get them involved, you're going to keep them. Personally, on a personal level, my husband and I involved all of our kids to the point where my youngest one didn't even want to be in Sundays. He wanted to be up in church, and now he's in his last year of seminary. Okay. And the thing is, and I did say, I talked, what I did in that case, I didn't want to make waves with the Sunday school, so I talked to the Sunday school teacher, and and there was another girl, I had just started the junior choir thing at this time, and there was a girl in his class that came right up to me and said, I want to join the choir, and she ended up becoming a full-time choir member, and for many years. But the point is, the two of them both wanted to be upstairs, so I talked to the teacher, and the teacher said to me, they're going to learn a lot more up there than they are down here. Mm-hmm. And so they both went upstairs. They only had to report down like once a month for their last 2 years of Sunday school. In the last year, Adam said he was hardly there at all. They graduated him, But you know what? This sounds, I maybe shouldn't say this, but oh well, I'm a Sunday school dropout. you know? And I'm looking, I had a class of 25 kids. Most of them I've never seen after they graduated, okay? I joined the choir at age 13. I'm still here. And it's important to have a mentor. That's one more thing I want to say, to have mentors. My mentor was Dad Garabet, starting as Deacon Danny when he was an intern at our church. He's still my Dad High today, okay? Dad Garabet Kuchakian. He took those of us that he saw were interested, he nurtured us, he developed us, and he sent us to the St. Nurses conferences. And that was huge. That was huge, okay? And to this day, we're still very connected. You don't lose that connection. He went far away, but you don't lose that connection. He's still my dad. And you know, so that's important too. Are there any other questions? Yes?
To say they have to do something with the Sunday school curriculum. I don't know if they change anything to allow the children to be able to come to church and hear the music. I mean, it's always now they have to be in Sunday school.
And Sunday, why does Sunday school have to be during Badarak? That's my
Well,
question.
because it's, in certain areas, that's the only time they'll come to church. They won't come early, and they won't stay late, so you have to do.
They're creatures of habit, that's what they're used to.
Well, it's the same old thing. We've been doing it this way for so many
That's
years.
exactly what it is. That's the way we've been doing it. But you know what? I have now visited so many churches, even just this past year alone, okay? And I've seen that so many different ways to do it, and I've seen what's working and what's not working. And I'm not really, who am I to judge, okay? Who am I to judge? But I see what's working. And you gotta get the kids in church. You don't get them in church, you're not gonna keep them. That's the bottom line. You've gotta teach them. You've got to expose them. And Deacon Brubaker earlier said, you need to expose the kids, even if they're playing, even if they're sitting there playing, they're hearing. I had a boy, one thing I want to say is, I had a boy named Theo. You know Theo. Okay. Theo was the only kid that didn't sing with the rest of the kids. All the kids were singing. Theo would just sit there. Okay? As a matter of fact, his sister was one of the videos. He wouldn't sing. I didn't get on Theo's case. That's the worst thing you can do. I just let him sit. But he was taking it in, okay? He was the same way in Sunday school. He wouldn't participate. He would just sit, okay? So what happened is, one day his mother called me and said, you're not going to believe this. I said, what? He was singing all of the church music in the choir. I mean, in the shower, all the choir music in the shower. He knew it, he learned it, he memorized it, and he's singing it in the shower. So he was learning. He just, if I had yelled at him, if I had, then I would have lost him, okay? Now, when the kids started coming to my house for rehearsals, because it ended up being the better situation, the better way to do things, Theo wanted to come. He came by choice. But, so the thing is, you just let them be, as long as, they're listening, they're hearing. I'm with Deacon Rubik on that. You don't say, oh, these kids don't belong here, they're playing. What's wrong with you letting them be in church? They're listening and they're learning. So anything you need to do. These two used to come up when there was no Sunday school, when they were little. And they learned a lot just by being up there. As a matter of fact, didn't they go up and sit next to you at the organ?
They did. At the same time one time.
At the same time, I think he had one on each side. Nice. and you know what? As long as they're not bothering him, they were curious.
No, they wanted to learn. It was fun.
They wanted to learn. So Dan's sitting there playing the organ, and he has Carly on one side and Carlos on the other side. Look where they are.
Yep.
They're serving the church. They're leaders in the church. People will follow them. Okay? So I could go on and on here, but does anyone else have anything to say or ask? Oh, I'm so sorry, Jordan. I said, Jordan, make sure. Thank you. Oh, I would have been so mad at myself. Thank you, Chris. Jordan is another example. I just met Jordan, and he and Carlos were roommates at Deacon's Training at St. Nurses. So I kind of feel like I've gotten to know him over the past day or so. And I said to Jordan, I said, I'm going to ask you to tell me a little bit about yourself too, because you're 15 years old.
Almost 16.
Almost 16. He looks older. He looks like he's 18. But could you please tell us a little bit about yourself? Yeah, please come up.
Yeah, Jordan.
Yeah, Jordan.
So
Hold on, I got a video for your mom.
I know, right?
Hold on.
do we go to talk about?
Tell us where you're from, which church you serve, what you know, like, are you an acolyte, you're studying to be a deacon, what are you doing, and did you have a mentor, anything like that?
Okay.
What got you interested?
I'll try to answer all those questions. I'll wait for Chris.
Oh, Chris.
Oh, wait a minute. Get there. Like slow.
He's patient,
Okay,
isn't
come on,
he?
send it to you. All right.
Are you
All
ready?
right.
All right, so I'm Jordan. I'm 15. I've been serving the church for about 6 years now. My first Badadak was on Easter in 2015, so I had a special event. I was about 4 years old when I got interested in serving the altar. I saw our head deacon, Matt Kanata. He was swinging the pudvar, and I was very interested in what he was doing. So I wanted to become an altar server. I couldn't, I was 4 years old. So I waited a bit until I was 10, and then I asked my Father Capra, who was the priest at the time, I asked him, can I serve at the altar? He said, come on Easter. I said, okay, I'll come on Easter. So I served on the altar. I've been serving since at this parish. Matt Kanata and Father Caprio were my mentor, and then as they taught me the Badadak and a bit of the morning service, but then COVID hit, so I didn't really get an experience. And then Father Caprio, he moved away, and then Dad Hadachun came in. He started teaching me. He started teaching me the psalms, the singing, and what they meant. Like, what was I singing about? I wasn't just singing because, it sounds nice and all that. What other questions do I have?
You answered them all, but I'll tell you, you're a good speaker. You're a very
thank
good
you.
speaker. And he's very captivating, isn't he?
Yes,
I was
he
like
is.
drawn into what you were saying. That's wonderful. So what you're saying is that you've had a few different mentors.
Yeah, I've had a few different mentors and a lot of interests, which really kept me going to church and learning more of the Badadak and other services. Any other questions?
And but just to read.
I did, yes. I went to St. Narcissus in 2021. Carlos was my roommate. We had a fun time, you would say? Yes. I learned a lot from them. I met people across the United States. I met someone from California, triplets from Texas, people, in New England, Massachusetts, I think Rhode Island. But I met a lot of people, and it was very nice because I don't really get to meet a lot of Armenians who are my age. When I go to school, I don't get to see it. I met one Armenian who was in my high school back in 2019, and he was a senior. That was the only one Armenian I ever met. I never get to meet anyone my age. The people I went to Sunday school with, they graduate. I don't see them at church anymore. So
There you go. There you go.
Yay!
And you know what? He said something very important. He said it was when he was 4 years old that he got interested. And that's because he was exposed at 4 years old, right?
Yes.
If you weren't there, you wouldn't have gotten
No.
interested.
And nobody pushed him into it. He wanted it.
He wanted it, but once again, I assume it was your parents that brought you to church?
yes.
Okay, so you gotta credit the parents there for bringing him and exposing him. Thank you very
Of
much,
course.
Jordan. Thank you.
So proud of you, Jordan.
Thank you, Jordan.
I gotta send it to your mom.
Any other questions or comments or anything? Okay, just make me a promise. If you or anyone you know needs any assistance with developing youth, I will make myself available, okay? If it's within driving distance, usually I can get there. So I'm willing to help. I have the resources as far as any of these kind of things that you might need. Any kind of instruction to somebody that might be new that want to work with the kids and don't know where to start, okay? So thank you all very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much.